There's always a watch that changes how you see watches. Welcome to Honest Time, calm, honest conversations about watches. There's always a watch that changes how you see watches. Not the most expensive one you own, not the one you research the most, but the one that quietly shifts how you think about the whole hobby. For me, that was my first automatic. Before my first automatic, I did think about watches. I knew there were different movements, although I don't know that I knew they were called movements. I did know that there was a quartz, and I knew there was something called an automatic. But if I'm honest, I didn't really understand fully what that meant. I just knew one thing. It didn't need a battery. And for a long time, that idea just kind of lived in the background. I knew I wanted one someday. I just didn't know why yet, but I did think they were pretty cool. About 5 years ago, I started paying closer attention. I started reading more, watching more, listening to people talk about watches. That's when the idea of an automatic really started to make sense. How it worked, why people cared. Something I'd known about for years finally became something I understood. So about 2 years ago, I finally decided to get my first automatic. Not because I felt like I needed one, but because I just felt ready to get one. I understood it. And that decision quietly changed everything. Once I started wearing it, something happened. I realized the watch was responding to me. It wasn't just keeping time. My movement mattered. How often I wore it mattered. When I took it off mattered. Understanding an automatic intellectually is one thing. Living with it is something else entirely. An automatic teaches you patience, but not in an obvious way. It doesn't lecture you, obviously. It doesn't demand attention. It teaches you slowly by responding to how you live with it. If you don't wear it for a couple of days, it stops. Not because something's wrong, just because it's waiting. It doesn't rush. It doesn't care that you're busy. You learn that consistency matters more than intensity. Wearing it regularly matters more than winding it aggressively. Small, repeated motion matters more than big, occasional effort. You also learn to let go of perfection. Some days, it's a few seconds fast. And some days it's a few seconds slow. And instead of fixing it immediately, you start noticing patterns. You learn its rhythm. Over time, you just stop asking, is this perfect? And you start asking, is this working for me? That's patience. Not waiting passively, but paying attention over time. That's when a watch stops being something you own. And it starts being something you have a relationship with. You learn its habits. And in a strange way, it starts to reflect yours. Now that watch still gets worn today quite a bit. Not because it's the best automatic I own, although it is. And not because it's the most refined, even though it probably is. It still gets worn because it reminds me where my appreciation shifted. It reminds me of a moment this hobby became very personal. As you spend more time in watches, it's easy to chase what's next. Better movements, better finishing, more prestige. But sometimes it's worth remembering what got you here. Not to go backward, but just to stay grounded. If you're new here, the previous video is about simply getting started with watches. And there's a small giveaway tied to that one as well. No pressure, but if you haven't seen it yet, it might be a good place to begin. If this resonated with you, feel free to subscribe. More calm conversations like this are coming. Thanks for spending a little time here. This is Honest Time.